Hey everyone, I have here a bunch of custom-made Lego cars that you may have seen around New JANG City over the past some number of years. I decided to extract all of them and bring them all together in one place for the first time ever and just do a little quick overview looking at each. The majority of these were built quickly when I just decided I wanted to spend a small amount of time replacing some official Lego car builds with some custom ones. So I would just take, regular parts and put something together quickly that was not identical to something that Lego had designed itself. And a handful of these are actually built with care and designed with care, and some of them have some special features. I'm going to go through these in no particular order and hopefully fairly quickly since there are a lot of them. This is one of my older ones here, and I actually still like it even though it's a little bit weird. This one just reminds me spiritually of a Subaru SVX, another fairly weird and obscure vehicle in real life. This is one of my fastest looking cars. It's supposed to represent a modern supercar, not based on any particular thing that exists in real life. I just wanted to make something that was a little bit outlandish, that would look like it was owned by somebody who's particularly rich in my city. And I wanted to stick to that 4-stud wide basic design, 4-stud wide plus a little bit for fenders. It's the basic scale that I prefer for cars. Here's a very simple and quick crossover SUV that's mostly based on existing Lego City designs and has the preformed chassis piece with just a different body style to it, different greenhouse style. When I was making this one, I just wanted to use the medium azure colored fenders, and I wanted to do something a little bit different for the C-pillars for the shape there. And I think it kind of feels like it takes some inspiration from some late 90s American cars. The 90s Mercury Cougar, and also I think there were some Oldsmobiles, if not Buicks, that had somewhat of a similar C-pillar. It was curved at the top, but then went straight down. This one's actually one of my favorites, and it is very much inspired by something in real life. This is intended to be as close as I could get to a Lada Niva, an awesome Russian designed and built vehicle that is super tough and also super small. It's actually 4-wheel drive, not even all-wheel drive, but 4-wheel drive. People do some crazy things with these in real life, and I wanted to do a little dedication to some of my Russian fans and just, cross the earth to the other side and give some love there. And I really like the vehicle in real life, and I'm glad that I still like the model that I built. Here's a silly, tiny pair of cars that were specifically designed to just push the limits for smallness. I wanted to make the smallest Lego cars that I could that would still fit minifigures inside of them. So I think I did the red one first. I wanted to use that front fender piece, but then I did this one to go even shorter. You can probably make it smaller than that, but I wanted to have a minifigure in there, sitting normally without any weird building techniques or anything, just just for the heck of it, just for the fun of it. I actually kind of like the look of the red one here. It looks kind of sporty, maybe an 80s Fiat or something. The white one doesn't make much sense, but hey, they both worked. They did what they're supposed to do. This one, on the other hand, is pretty long and it's supposed to be, just a sporty convertible. I actually did this one a while ago as well, and it's also a fairly simple build, so there's nothing too fancy about it, but at least it does have a printed console in there, and it is at an angle. I think this was my first ever 5-stud wide build. It was either my first or my second. I wanted to do a classic, like late 1950s, early 1960s SUV sort of look, and I think it turned out pretty successful. It doesn't have as much interior space as I would like, but it's recognizable. The windows aren't as good as I would like. I wish that there was a little bit more detail. Maybe someday I'll update this, but for now it is good for what it is, I think. In contrast, this is not good for what it is. Another SUV I did very, very quickly. I just wanted to use those magenta colored fenders for this one, and I ended up throwing on the light blue, medium blue colored wheels as well. A very ugly thing, but it's good for the sake of diversity, at least, pushing myself outside of my comfort zone. This one went far outside of my comfort zone. A lot of people at the time I built this were asking for me to do a Bugatti, but they didn't specify which Bugatti they wanted me to do. I was doing a bunch of small, quick car projects at the time. So I went back to, I believe this was the early 30s or was it late 20s? I just went back and found a classic Bugatti and tried to make a Lego version of it, and it turned out okay. It's used a funky way to mount the motorcycle wheels on there with the use of old style flowers. This one's a little bit fragile, but I do like the look of it. Yeah, I'm throwing all of these on the screen at the same time because none of them are good, and they're all basically the same style of vehicle, supposed to represent cheap but largish sedans, and yeah, none of them look particularly good to me. They take up some space. I enjoyed building most of them, I think, but the end results just aren't good enough. I think that blue one that's in the center of the screen right now is the worst of them. Probably the best is the blue one on the far left, and the second best is this brown and dark red one. I just wanted to get that color scheme in somehow, but yeah, let's move on. This is my original police interceptor. I made this a long time ago. I still kind of like the look of it. It was intended to be kind of a Audi R8 type of thing, not specifically an Audi R8, but that sort of design, you know, a really fast, mid-engined, small vehicle. I don't like the door section right there. That definitely needs some work, but yeah, it's got the clips on the outside, just taking a little bit of inspiration from regular Lego City stuff so you can attach the accessories. And there's also a clip inside for his stun blaster weapon. Yeah, I do like the design of this, and somewhere, here we go, I also have an undercover version of the same, which I might convert over just to civilian use. I think that looks a lot better even. But I did like the stickers for the police one. Yeah, I mean, black makes a lot of things look good easily. Still, the doors aren't quite right. I did a couple of iterations of those, but yeah, it's a thing. I might expand on this idea in the future at some point. This was part of a very special project that I enjoyed very much, creating a fully functional radio-controlled drift car that looked like it was Lego. In fact, it had a regular RC car chassis underneath and the wheels as well, and I just created the body to go over it, and now it is sitting on just a dummy chassis underneath just to have some Lego wheels on it, so it will roll and it will actually fit into the city without using up that special and now rather expensive chassis. At the time when I did the project, it wasn't that expensive, but this works really nicely, you know, when it's on that RC base. It looks very strange, and you can probably look at it and say, oh, it's terrible, you should have done so much better, but try it before you knock it. Try building something that is totally built off of or out of Lego pieces that has to fit onto something that was never designed to accommodate Lego. And you'll realize just how difficult it can be and how challenging it can be. But a very enjoyable project this was, and I ended up doing a second body as well, just to have another option. So this is the one that I came up with for the second attempt. And yeah, this one worked out okay as well, as some similar building techniques used for it. I was very, very constrained on the size. I wanted to stick to a basically 4-stud wide size again, so it'd be compatible with the looks of my regular Lego cars, but I wanted to do as many things differently as reasonably possible. And yeah, just came up with something different, and it was nice to have something that actually worked. Here's my first and only vehicle to be built off a Junior's car chassis. I just wanted to use one of those small, at the time called Lego Junior's chassis. Nowadays they're in the city line or whatever line and whatever theme, they just call them 4+. But I just wanted to use that piece and try to make something that would fit into my city. So I came up with this little hatchback kind of design. It has the fenders that are way too wide, but it kind of looks right most of the time if you don't look at it too carefully. It fits in well enough, I think, with the rest of the stuff that I've done. These two were built very, very quickly. Very simple they are in their designs. Just something VW New Beetle-like, convertible. Probably in universe they would be smaller than Beetles are or were, the modern versions of them. I just wanted to have something quick and easy to put together, that would be rounded and a little bit different from other stuff that I had, and that would accommodate minifigures and put some more vehicles on the road, and that's just that. Here's another really simple build based on the Lego City standard design, but this one takes inspiration from the mid-1980s Aston Martin V8 Vantage Zagato coupe, which was really, really high in the back, just had an interesting design. This one doesn't have the bump on the hood for it. It's not supposed to be a replica of that car. It just takes inspiration from it. That's just what I was thinking of when I was putting this together. And even though it's simple, I still kind of like it. Here are some more roughly classic styled vehicles that are simple and very small, very compact. But I don't particularly dislike any of these. I think my least favorite is the yellow one on the far left. But I feel like each one has a little bit of personality and brings something to the scene that it's in. So even though these are pretty basic and, don't have a lot of pieces to them and don't have any special techniques or anything, I don't mind having these on display. I'm not ashamed of them at this point. And I also have another one that's very similar to this black one. I have actually, I think, 5 of them. I brought one into the studio with me here that's similar. This one actually, to me, feels a little bit more like a Saab of some sort. This was specifically designed to go with an automobile rail carrier that I designed. I wanted to make a very small vehicle that would accommodate a minifigure and that would fit into a very small space, so I could put a bunch of them onto a single car carrier, rail car, and this is what I came up with. So this doesn't even get put onto the street. It's just always in that rail car, and like I said, I've got the different colors of them that I built identically in their design. Here's some form of classic American muscle car. I believe when I built this, I was playing a lot of Forza 3 probably at the time, 2 or 3, maybe 4, I think it was 3. And really enjoying the AMX Javelin, which I like in real life and I've done very well with in many Forza games. It tunes up very well. Took some inspiration from that. Up close, this kind of looks ugly, but from a reasonable distance, it kind of looks okay, and it brings something different to a scene that it's in. Gosh, this really needs to be done better. The more I look at it up close, I really haven't looked at it up close in quite a while, but just on display out on the streets, it's not bad, and it's something different. That I don't have anything else like it in my city, but like this in high quality, all zoomed in. Nah, I just want to take it off screen. Dang it! I need to make more vehicles kind of like this, though, in some sort of way, just better. This is better, though very, very different. Another crossover SUV. This is actually one of my more recent builds. You can see it uses the Speed Champions wheels and also wheel arches. And this one fits together pretty well. This is another 5-stud wide build. A lot of people don't like the nose because it is different. I like the nose because it is different. I wanted to push things a bit there and try to offend the senses in order to be different, to not just follow design standards that we're used to and conventions that we're used to. But overall, this feels to me pretty well finished. It has kind of a Lamborghini Urus feel to it, and I think that's the main inspiration I was thinking. I don't think when I built this, the Urus actual design was out yet. We didn't know what it was exactly going to look like. They probably had some concepts by the time, but I was not trying to create a Lamborghini Urus here, but it's that type of very high performance crossover. This one's a classic compact car, probably British or French, I would say, in its design. Yeah, another just very simple build, easy to put together. The rear fenders aren't that good, but it's small, it's compact, and has a color that I've not used a lot on the streets, and I think it looks fine for what it is. I don't feel the need to change this anytime soon. When I built this, which was quite some time ago, I was thinking I want to make an electric car that would be used by the city or something, a fleet electric car. And it ended up looking like it was shaped after a second generation Prius. A lot of people pointed to it looking like kind of like a Prius. So sure, if you want it to be a Prius, it can be a Prius. That'll work. I intended for it to be electric though. But even though this is another really, really simple build, and the more I look at it now, having not looked at it this closely, gosh, it looks so simple. It really needs some small details. The overall shaping, though, I think is all right. Definitely needs some side view mirrors and maybe something else just to add a little extra texture to the exterior. The closest analogy here would probably be like a Chrysler 300C, something that tries to pretend to be classy even though it's kind of not, but then people see it as being classy and they end up making it classy to some extent, maybe with the help of some modifications. So this would be a factory custom version of this, not a true luxury car. I think my original intent was to make it a true luxury car, but I just see too much Chrysler in it to consider it to be an actual luxury car. So it's kind of a poser luxury car. Let me put it that way. I did not intend for this one to be a classic car when I built it, but rather a retro-styled modern car. So think something from Morgan, perhaps, but a little bit larger. A truly refined car, but not too expensive, not a one-off or anything. Just something that not a whole lot of people would have, so I don't have another of these in another color scheme or anything yet. I'm not entirely happy with the top of the windshield there, but other than that, the shaping I think works out, and it's good to get some gray into the city as well, even though roads are gray and everything. Just not every car can be brightly colored, so this adds a good amount of some multiple forms of diversity to my roads. While I'm doing gray, might as well do more gray. So this would be another modern car, a pretty fast one here though. Probably a little bit on the heavy side, but very high powered, something over 500 horsepower I would think. Retractable hardtop this would have on it. So not a convertible, but a retractable true roof. And I didn't make a roof up version. I probably should at some point. Got the 4 exhaust at the back. This is just another thing to add some diversity. Wasn't too difficult of a build. Went together pretty quickly. Here's the last of the gray vehicles. This one's relatively simple, relatively straightforward. Just a sedan, like a mid-sized sedan. Now that I look at it, you know what? This would probably be in universe from the same manufacturer as this one. They have similar profiles at the front, so I guess the gray one would just be like a non-poser offering from that same company. Again, just the Chrysler Dodge kind of feel. This would probably have a little bit more power than an average sedan in its class, but it's kind of trying to target people who have slightly more plain tastes, who don't want to be too flashy, just something a little bit cheaper. It'd probably be just a step down overall in class, in size from that white one. Here's another white one. This was an early build based on the standard Lego City chassis, but trying to keep it nice and flat, fairly low to the ground. Comparing it like to this, the roof line, the roof line is so much lower. What is it? A full brick lower, looks like. At least, yeah, I think it's a full brick lower than that. But a simple build. This in universe was supposed to be owned by like a special agent, somebody who works for something like the CIA, but less nefarious. This car was built to be green. I wanted to use those dark green fenders. That was really the genesis of the entire project, and I wanted to do something a little bit different. Yeah, I actually built up the chassis rather than using a regular Lego City chassis under there. Had to use the tiles on the sides to cover up different colors. Probably with some newer pieces, I would be able to make this look a little bit better. I actually like the hood of this one, and around the back, it doesn't look half bad. Here's another little one that's been around my city for quite some time. Very basic, very simple, but has some character to it and just barely fits a figure. So this is not my smallest, but probably my second smallest vehicle that I have on the road. It's got a steering wheel, so it's set. And that brings me to the last one that I brought out today. I think I got all of my custom ones that aren't just duplicates here. I mean, I did have a couple of almost duplicates as well. But just a convertible sporty car. This would be equivalent in performance and price to the final generation Mitsubishi Eclipse Coupe, I would say. You know, just something equivalent to that. Not based on that, not trying to look like that, but just similar in its purpose for existing. The colors are not quite right here. I need to change out that sand green. I don't like that. I like using sand green, but I don't like how it looks there. That just kind of messes with the scheme for me. Or maybe it's the light blue of the windscreen. Something here does need to change eventually. And that's it for now. I will do another video to cover vans and trucks, so stay tuned for that. Thanks for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.